Hello, welcome to the stream. I'm back. I'm back again for that. I don't know how many times that is. But anyway, welcome to the stream. Mac Video Magic Live, where we talk about making video on a Mac, among other things. We also talk some YouTube news, which I'll be talking about today in this stream, along with some other things. But welcome to the stream. And just going to say hello to some folks who have already arrived early. Here is Freddy Zone. Good to see you back. I'm doing well, thank you. You're making your haunted house for Halloween. All right, good. Get that early start. That's good. Get that early start. Yeah, so I've been away for a while, as you've probably noticed if you're a regular follower on this channel. It's been, I guess, 5 or 6 months. What was I doing? Why, Mike? Well, you know, periodically, and I'm sure a lot of YouTube creators go through this same thing. After a while, you need a little bit of a change. And I know it can be challenging for the community when a creator steps away. But I needed a sort of a change to do some different things. Stretch my or flex my or exercise, whatever athletic analogy, my creative muscles. So that's what I was doing. Was working on another crazy project, which was more of an experiment than anything else, but I learned a lot. And actually, I'm going to share with you what I learned on that journey. Actually, I have a video coming out tomorrow. I know, crazy, huh? More than one video per week? Plus a live stream? Are you crazy? But I have a video coming out tomorrow that talks a little bit about what I was doing for the last 6 months. And talking about, just to give you a preview, it's going to be about using DaVinci Resolve Studio on the Mac. We talking about that. My impressions of that. Using it pretty intensely for about 6 months. Things I learned, things I liked, things I didn't like, and so on that I will be sharing with you in that video. Hey, Ross Brand, how are you, sir? Folks, if you don't know Ross, you should know Ross. Ross has been doing live streaming for a long time here on YouTube and other platforms. And he is a great guy, very knowledgeable. Check him out. Just do a search for Ross Brand on YouTube and have a look at his stuff. Great stuff. Hey, from Germany, from Luxembourg, sorry, near Germany, yes. Robert, thanks for being here. Thanks for taking the time. And hello, Deb from Portsmouth, UK. Good to see you back again. It's funny how you see these names and you start to remember people. And just pardon me if I'm a little rusty with the live streaming thing. It's been a while. I haven't live streamed in like whatever 6-7 months. So getting back into it. So bear with me. Yes, thanks for being here. Thanks for being here. And hey, Ross, no problem. Warm welcome. No problem. Great to see you back. It's funny. I've been away, and hey, Keith. Thank you. Oh, hey, from the T-Dot, the 416. Well, I guess it used to be just the 416. Anyway, thank you, fellow Torontonian. Thanks for being here. Yeah, I've been away for a while and just getting back into it. Hey, Pim, from the Netherlands. Good to see you again. Hey, everybody comes back. It's great. And that's the one thing when I was away and I really wasn't up on the community in terms of like the whole tech community and the Mac video community. And I have to say I missed it. I missed seeing all the familiar faces. And it was nice to get back and see what people were up to in the space. Hey, Chiefs fan. Good to see you back again. Thanks for being here. So it's great to see people back in the space and seeing what people are doing on their channels. And it's kind of funny because a lot of folks looked like they took breaks too. So it looks like they took a few months off to recharge, I'm sure, and do other things. So, but it's great. It's great to be back in the tech space. I missed it. I missed talking about, the toys and playing with the toys and doing live streaming as well. So yeah, it's great to be back. But to start off the stream, the first one back, I actually want to show you a comment that I received recently on the channel. I'll bring it up here. From Mrs. Mix Music. And it was a comment for one of my videos. I think it was the video upgrading. Should you upgrade from iMovie to Final Cut Pro? And this comment says, forget iMovie. It's over, people. Don't waste your time. And, that's a fair comment. And the reason I'm bringing up this comment is because recently, like a couple days ago, I actually did a project, a really quick project, but not inconsequential project using iMovie. And this sort of connected with me because that project that I did for with iMovie was an audition video. It was for my wife, who is a television host. She's been a television host, children's host for like 3 decades. And so there's another project coming up, and she is auditioning for it. So she recorded all these different segments she had to do for the audition, various things like talk about yourself, do some characters, do all these things. And so she recorded those segments with her phone, and then she handed it off to me, airdropped it over to me to put it together for her. And so I think it took about the span of the time to walk our dog, which is about 25 minutes to half an hour. I cut the piece together. I added, titles. I added sound effects, music, visual effects, clip filters. If you saw my video earlier this week about clip filters. Did all that. It's like a 6-minute video, half an hour. done. And it worked really well. It worked really well. So that's why when I see this comment about it's over for iMovie, forget iMovie, it's over, people, don't waste your time. It kind of it makes me laugh a little bit because, you know, I did that video so quickly because it was iMovie. I didn't have to set up a project in Final Cut Pro or wherever and do all this stuff. I didn't need to do any of that. iMovie was more than enough, and I put it together, and yeah, and it was just one of those examples of where, you know, I talk about using these tools like iMovie and Keynote and how you can do a lot, but sometimes, you know, you have to sort of proof it, and that was an example of proofing it. Putting that video together. And it was a lot of fun. It was actually a lot of fun to put together. And the great thing about it is, about iMovie and its simple interface, is that it gets out of your way so you can concentrate on the actual information of the content, your video. And I really enjoyed editing. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you, just a comment. Not saying that, you know, Final Cut Pro is great. DaVinci Resolve Studio is really great. I've been using it intensely for the last 6 months, but I didn't need that. I didn't need it. iMovie was more than enough. And honestly, for 90% of the videos I see on YouTube, I'll say it again, it's more than enough. Anyway, I'll get off of that, that comment. Anyway, I just want to share that with you. Who else is here today? Let's see. Wildlife Channel, Ocho Verde. Do you ever use iMovie on the phone? I do sometimes, but I'm older. My eyes aren't the greatest anymore. So, you know, doing any editing on a phone, even though I have a pretty large phone, I have a Pro phone. It's got a big screen on it. It's still challenging. And also, to be precise, you know, scrolling and sliding, it can be a little challenging. But I'll use it if we're out, you know, out and about and I have to edit something, or if I'm on vacation or something like that. But I like having a big screen and being able to see everything. But the phone app is pretty good too. It's pretty good too. It does a lot. It does a lot. I wish, though, it did vertical video natively. That would be nice. I know Apple has an app called Clips that you can do vertical video natively, but it just seems kind of weird to have two separate mobile apps and, you know, when vertical video is such a big thing. Anyway, that's a whole other discussion. Frequently, those types of comments are bots. Yeah, but that comment may have been a bot, or not, but I think it was valid. It was a valid thing. You know, I talk about this a lot, and I find it more and more now that I've been away from the space and I'm back. And the video I release tomorrow, I'm sure is going to ruffle some feathers. The way, you know, what I'm going to be talking about. But when I was away and I'm back, and I really see how much, I guess, emotional investment people put into their tools. It's almost like it becomes a bit of their identity, which to me is just interesting. I mean, I don't identify with my hammer or saw. I just, you know, excuse me, when I need to do something, I reach for it, and whatever's there that can do the job, I do it. But people get very sensitive around creative tools, and other tech too, because they've made this investment. Sure, you've made an investment in money, of course, but a real emotional investment. And it's just very interesting to me because it's just very apparent coming back to the space. I don't know what I meant with that comment, but anyway. Fully agree. iMovie is more than enough. I did add Topaz Video AI to improve noisy footage. Sure, if it's noisy. And again, it depends on the end, what you're trying to do, because sometimes noisy footage feels more authentic, which may work for what you're trying to do with your project. Funny, I just saw your time on your iPhone. Well, here in Luxembourg, it's 7:10 p.m., yes, but I promise to stay up awake until the end. Oh, well, hopefully you're not bored and you can stay awake to the end. Nancy, can speed ramps for real estate videos be done in iMovie, or is it easier to use another? No, you can do speed ramps in iMovie quite easily. Maybe I should do a tutorial on that next. It's quite easy. You can do the speed changes in iMovie, no problem, actually. So anyway, I want to talk to you. I don't know if anybody uses ScreenFlow in the crowd here. I use ScreenFlow a lot to do my tutorials. And lately, though, ScreenFlow, there hasn't been any updates for it. Like, we're talking years. We're talking years. Let me just go over here. This is a ScreenFlow site. And, of course, coming back to this space, a little late to the game, but when I opened up ScreenFlow, and they said, oh, there's an update. And I'm like, an update? So 10.5, which came out in August 2025. And they added some really cool features. Nothing major. A lot of them just improvements. But they improved the audio capture for screen recording. You're able now to capture just like separate applications. You don't have to capture your whole screen. You can, like, if you're just using an application you want to show, you can just capture it there. But I just want to show you. So that's August 4th, 2025. And the last one was October 31st, 2023 was the update before that. So it was like, wow, that's a bit of a distance between updates. And if you're a ScreenFlow user, if not, you probably don't care about this. But I find it interesting because there's talk, because this is such a tool that's a lot of people use in the Mac space for not just for screen recording, but for editing as well. There was talk that it was dead. There's going to be no more updates. Then it was like, oh no, they're going to come up with a new version, but it's going to be subscription, which didn't make me very happy. I mean, that very well may happen too. They may come up with ScreenFlow 11 and it's a subscription. I hope not. But it was interesting to get an update after almost 2 years. So I guess they eventually listened to folks. Anyway, I just wanted to share that. It was interesting to me because I was like, oh, I opened it up. Oh, there's an update. I thought this thing was dead. But it's not. Yes, Ross, ScreenFlow is still your go-to? Yeah. Yeah, it's good. It's good. I mean, the editing is fairly good. It's fairly straightforward. I wouldn't do any complex editing with it. It starts to get a little janky when you start adding too many layers of things. But I use it all the time for my tutorials, and it's just straightforward and easy to use. But yeah, so that's that news. In the Mac video space. YouTube. YouTube. That's where we are right now. Show of hands, or I guess put a 1 in the chat if you live stream. Let me know in the chat if you live stream on YouTube or anywhere else, I guess. Because YouTube came out with some announcements of some updates that seem to be, for the first time, really focused on live streaming, which is kind of interesting because usually it's a lot of short stuff, and there still was. They had their Made on YouTube event a few weeks ago where they announce new features that are coming up. And for the first time, I think, that I remember, they were talking about live streaming. Like they actually, I think, want you actually to live stream on YouTube, which is kind of cool. They're making it easier. And so they've announced some updates to it. And really, the biggest ones, if you're thinking about live streaming on YouTube, you should, because it's a great platform to live stream on. But what I don't like is a lot of it is, as you can tell, is vertical live streaming stuff. So if, for example, here they have a new feature coming out called Practice Before You Go Live. And it seems to be more for just vertical stuff. I don't think it's for like desktop horizontal. But anyway, you're able to practice before you go live, which is kind of interesting to me. I guess the thing is that unless you're going to practice, and maybe they do it, they might actually, I think they do. They actually give you chat, like fake chat messages that you can try to respond to and stuff like that to get you used to the flow of live streaming, which is interesting. But it kind of goes against that whole thing about live streaming about, I don't know, authenticity, off the cuff kind of stuff. I get it. I mean, I don't rehearse before I do these. I mean, I do a walkthrough of the tech stuff because that's always the stuff that's going to break, especially if you've been away from it for a while. But I don't practice like speaking or anything like that. But for some folks, it's a way, to sort of warm them up and get them ready to go live. What else? Playables, that's game stuff. Not really interested. Oh, here's one. Prioritizing discoverability. So you're going to be able to go live like this, horizontal on the desktop, and simultaneously vertical in the Shorts feed, which is really cool. And the great thing about it is you'll have only one chat feed to deal with, which is great because I couldn't imagine handling two at the same time. I couldn't handle that. Now, the bad thing for me is that, as you can see in the image here, it's cropped. So you have your horizontal, and then you have your vertical, which is cropped. So anything in your screen, in your horizontal screen on either side of you that you have, like maybe it's chat or it's some other graphic, is going to get cut off. So this is something to keep in mind when you're thinking about doing this simultaneous streaming. Other things. Oh, this one is interesting to me, and I can see issues with it, and that is being able to react live to another live streamer. So if I'm going live right now, Ross could be going live, and he could, pull my stream up. I guess it's only vertical, only on the phone, I guess. But he could pull my stream up and react to my stream. So I can see that as an idea being interesting, but in practice, I can see some issues, especially with things like, I don't know, copyright and stuff like that. I don't know if they've thought through that kind of stuff. But anyway, it's an interesting feature. And AI-powered highlights. This is pretty cool. Unfortunately, I think, again, this is only vertical stuff. So if you go live vertical, the AI will basically go through your video and pick out clips to show, which is great. But I don't stream vertical, really. Oh, and monetization tools. This one's kind of good, and you'll probably appreciate this, especially if, monetizing, have ads running in the live stream. Now, usually what happens is you're watching a live stream and then it's interrupted by an ad. This system here now, it'll be basically a split screen. So the live stream programming will still be in one side, and then the ad will be playing beside it. So you see both things. And then there's again, I don't even know if this is just vertical streaming or horizontal, but public to members only live streams, where you'll be able to easily transition, it says, from public to members only live streams without disruption. I'm trying to see how that works. You're sort of streaming to public, and then all of a sudden it cuts out when you go to members only, and everyone public, it just goes black. Interesting. I'm not quite sure. I like to see that in action, the easy transition. Anyway, interesting stuff with live streaming. And they've got some stuff that came out with Shorts as well. And also, I think they finally came out with A/B testing thumbnails and titles, which, people have been wanting that for like years. Finally, I think it's going to be rolling out. But yeah, so a bunch of stuff. I would hate to be in their position to have to be coming out with new stuff all the time. Like every year, okay, Made on YouTube's coming out. What can we do? What can we make? How many ways can we slice and dice this thing to come up with new features? That's a challenge. It's a challenge, and I don't know. I don't know. A lot, and some AI features as well, which again for me, I'm on the fence with the AI stuff. I used a lot of AI in the last few months on the other project, and yeah, that's a whole other video, that experience. But there's some really good uses for AI, and then there's just so much slop out there that's coming online, and I think there's just going to be more and more of it. Anyway, that's another discussion, I guess. So yes, of course, Ross live streams. Yes, I know he's been doing that forever. He's an OG live streamer, and Chiefs fan 9069 live streams. Excellent. And Robert says, I am too shy to do live stream myself, but I love to watch you and listen to your experience. I'm new in iMovie and I hope to progress. Yeah, sure. You know, live streaming is not for everybody. And it sort of took, well, when did I start live streaming? 2017, I think. I did my first one. Now, I've got a bit of advantage. I used to work in television, so I hosted live TV shows for years. So, you know, it's a bit of a cheat. I've done this kind of thing before, but not like this, where when I did it then, I would just have to stand there and, you know, read a prompter or just talk or interview people. I didn't have to worry about the camera or the lighting and the audio or the switching stuff. Not like now, where it's just like I got to do everything. So it was a different experience coming into doing live streaming. From doing live television. But I understand the shyness issue. It's, sure. And a lot of times it's kind of like, I go back and forth with live streaming sometimes. It's sort of like, what's the real purpose of it? I guess the question becomes, what value am I giving through live streaming to the audience? And so I have that debate constantly versus an edited video where you can be a little more sort of concise and, you know, just give people the goods. But I enjoy live streaming. I enjoy just going live. I really enjoy the tech more than anything. It's just amazing to me. Again, coming from television, where live studios, millions of dollars, and, you know, satellite trucks and all this stuff, and now I'm going live around the world from my spare room. So using this technology, which is amazing, Country Boardwalk Studios. I'm not ready for AI. Yeah. Okay. Just a little bit about my other project I worked on. I did use AI, generative AI, to create imagery, not video, but a lot of stills, because I was doing some historical stuff, and, you know, I needed to represent this story, and I had nothing to show. Nothing to show. I wasn't going to draw pictures, so I used generative AI, and there's something about it that's just, I don't know, just doesn't sit right in my brain. And I ended up having to sort of do a lot of post effects on it, just to kind of make it a little more, I guess, real. But it was just, I mean, hey, listen, it created an image that I could use, and I would sort of I would have to alter it just to make it at least pleasing to me somewhat. But man, oh man, getting the AI to make the image was challenging. Like, if you want to create a one-off image, okay, you can go through some iterations and give it instructions. But when you're doing like a story where you have characters, and those characters have to show up in different parts of your video, which means you have to generate images with those same characters in different situations and stuff. Wow. That was challenging to do with AI. I had to keep reminding it of what people and things looked like. because it would start to drift. It's really scary. People would start to like change subtly their look. And I would have to come back and say, okay, that's not the person. And I'd have to upload the picture of the person to reset the AI. Sometimes it took a long time to get an image that I could use. So it was an interesting situation. Anyway, but that's maybe I'll do a whole other stream about using generative AI to create content for video. Sometimes it was good, but then it was a lot of work getting there. Anyway, who else? Hey, from France. Thank you much. Thank you much. Thank you so much for being here. Great to have you. Great to have you. Hello, nice to hear of you. Hand pink waving. I guess that's an emoji. Emoji description. Life track. Thanks for being here too. So AI. Good stuff though. And in my video tomorrow, I talk about AI in a good context with DaVinci Resolve Studio, and where AI really shines. But when it comes to the generative stuff, when you're creating images or video or even text, I found it challenging to get where I needed to go. So, what else did I want to talk about? Let's see. Oh, okay. Final Cut Pro. If you follow Final Cut Pro, if you're interested in Final Cut Pro, which some of you I know are, just to let you know, this is not a recent, but they had an update of 11.2. And the reason I'm talking about this is the lack of anything really significant. They added some, ProRes RAW video shot on the iPhone. That's the new 17. And that's what I think this release was for, was to adjust things to handle footage shot on the new iPhone 17, or I guess the iPhone Pro. And, Apple log footage. I don't do that. And it fixes some issues, voiceover tool, stability, RAW. Oh, FireWire, removes FireWire connection. If anyone knows FireWire, remember what that is. That was a way to connect your camera to your computer to transfer footage. And it looks like they're finally in Tahoe coming up. macOS Tahoe, they're getting rid of it. I haven't used FireWire in like 15 years. I don't know. Anyway, they're taking out the support. So I bring this up because having used DaVinci Resolve Studio, now this is the Studio, the paid version, not the free. The Studio version has all the AI tools and fun and all the toys and stuff. But I just don't understand. It's like light years ahead of Final Cut Pro, and I don't know what's going on. I know they're having issues with AI over at Apple. I mean, if they've had issues with it on the phone, they're going to have issues all across the board. But I don't know. It just concerns me. The development course is concerning me more and more. I haven't given up on it by any means. I still love it. I still use it on occasion, but when I need to. But it's just remarkable to me that there's not more innovation happening, which is what you would expect from Apple. But I haven't given up. Thank you for the tips on iMovie. You're welcome. And the last video with the clip filter one. Yeah, I figured, there was one to do I hadn't done that. It was sort of like, this seems like a pretty good feature that people would want to use. Particularly, as I mentioned in the video, if you're using a lot of stock footage. And it's funny because if there's different royalty-free stock footage libraries out there, right? There's Story Blocks. I used to use them. There's Envato Elements, which is what I use now. And I think there's like Artlist, I think, or some other. Anyway, but you realize when you use these different services, it's the same footage. A lot, not all of it, but there's a lot of the same footage on each platform. It's like I see the same. It's like, wait a second, I remember this clip from Storyblocks, and it's on Envato. So I guess they license it from the same people. But you start to see the same stock footage in everyone's videos. It's like, hey, I remember that clip. Oh, I used that clip. And so the iMovie clip filters is a way to kind of just treat your footage so, it just looks a little different. And also it's in terms of storytelling, it helps, because if you're trying to set a certain mood or feel in your story or in your information, clip filters is a quick way to sort of give your footage a different look and feel. So I figured that's probably that's what I use it for. As I mentioned at the top about that iMovie project I worked on, I use clip filters on a number of things just to give it a different look that fit with sort of the story. But yeah, clip filters. Yes, you had no oh yeah, the trick. Yeah, that trick was that one I was just playing around, how you can mix them together. And if you check out the video, I explain how you do that. But yeah, it's just an added way you can extend the use of the clip filters. Yeah. Yeah. I only use iMovie only 30% of capacity, like 30% of what it does. Yeah. Yeah, this is what I mean. It looks simple. It looks like, oh, this is a toy, blah, 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 blah. But there's lots in there. There's lots. I even started doing any videos about the color correction and color matching and stuff like that. That'll be coming down the line. But yeah, there's a lot you can do. There's a lot you can do with it. Ross asks, besides AI, how did you like DaVinci versus Final Cut Pro? I knew that question was going to come. Okay. So, like anything, any tool, so much of it is based on you and your experience and how you work. If you're somebody who's just starting in editing and you looked at Final Cut Pro and you looked at DaVinci Resolve, you choose which one you would want, probably based on features, and pick it up and learn it. I've been a professional editor since the early 90s. That's right, 1990s. So I come from a certain tradition, or I was trained in a certain tradition of video editing. First in the analog world with tape, and then in the mid-90s when digital came along and Avid and stuff like that. So I'm used to a certain, and even with the first original version or the OG version of Final Cut Pro, which came out, I guess, in 99, 98 or 97. Anyway, it was late 90s. I'm used to that interface with like tracks, audio tracks, video tracks, source monitor, program monitor, audio meters, very, very traditional. And, you put stuff on the timeline where you want to put it. Final Cut Pro 10, when they changed that paradigm and came up with the magnetic timeline, it was just one of those cases where Apple was saying, listen, we know how you want to edit. You don't want to be putting stuff on the timeline wherever and maybe risk having like black frames and stuff like that. No. So we're going to stick everything together for you. Oh, cool. Except when you want to stick something on the timeline and just have it sit by itself. Oh, how do I, you got to do a workaround. Anyway, so Final Cut Pro for me, Final Cut Pro 10 was kind of like learning a bit of a new language for editing. I understand, before everybody comes at me, I understand the Final Cut Pro folks. I understand the benefit of the magnetic timeline. I do, and there's lots of benefits to it. However, sometimes it's kind of like you have to do a workaround just to get the freedom to do something, which is kind of counterintuitive to me. And then with Final Cut Pro, the whole audio issue too, that's probably for me where I go, huh? This whole idea of audio lanes, not tracks. Again, I understand the efficiency of it. I understand the idea, but it's just not how my brain thinks in terms of editing for so many years using just tracks. So, so Final Cut Pro was a bit of a challenge. Final Cut Pro 10, when they went to this magnetic timeline. However, having said that, Final Cut on the Mac is solid. It's just solid. You know, it's optimized for the Mac. It's efficient. It works. It's smooth, at least in my experience for most of the time. And, you know, it's solid. DaVinci Resolve, and I mentioned this in my video tomorrow, some of the issues for me was some of the stability issues, at least on the Mac. Now, I have a Windows machine as well. It's an older Windows machine. And I think it's like from 2018 or something. I had to get it because I had to use software for a project for a client that wasn't available on the Mac. But I have Resolve Studio on the Windows machine. And even though it's an older machine, it just seems a little more stable than on the Mac. But again, it depends on what you're trying to do. DaVinci Resolve, though, in terms of like effects and color correction, and you know, it's pretty incredible what you can do. It's pretty incredible. And the whole idea of if you're familiar with DaVinci Resolve Studio, everybody, it's like 4 different apps together. So you've got 2 editors. I think it's DaVinci. There's Resolve Cut, which is like a basic cut editor, and then there's Resolve Edit, which is like the full up editing application, which is what I use most of the time. And then there's Fusion, which is the effects, 2D, 3D, compositing, motion graphics application. And then there's Color, which everybody knows, DaVinci Resolve Color. That's what it's known for. Color correction and more. and then they have Fairlight, which is the audio workstation, which along the lines of like Pro Tools, if you're familiar with that, or I guess like Apple Logic as well. But the thing about them, you get all these applications, which is amazing. But the amazing thing is the integration. They're all connected. And it's incredible. Like if you're editing something in Edit and you have a clip and you say, I want to add some effects. You select that clip and you pop over to the Fusion page. The clip comes up in the Fusion page ready for you to add your effects. You add all your effects to it. Pop back over to Edit and it's updated automatically with all your effects. And it's all integrated, even the audio. You pop over to Fairlight, all your audio tracks are there. So it's that integration that saves you so much time from back in the day when you had to export a clip. You want to do an effect, okay, export it out of the editor, import it into the effects application, do your thing, export it back out, put in, oh, I got to make a change, re-export. It was, so anyway, that integration that is in DaVinci Resolve Studio saves you, on a long project, hours of time. So back to your question, Ross, of which one do I prefer? You know, honestly, it depends on what I'm working on, really. I was using it intensely, DaVinci Resolve Studio, the last few months for a number of reasons. One was what I was working on was kind of like I guess, how do I describe it? Like a History Channel type documentary project. And so there was lots of elements. There's lots of everything, footage, stills, audio. And one of the reasons why I wanted to use DaVinci Resolve Studio was for audio mixing and the AI audio assistant. And if you haven't heard of that, it's crazy. Basically what it can do is, you know, if you're making a video and you have a bunch of audio tracks, right? You have the sound that comes with the video clips, your narration, maybe put some music in there. You've got some sound effects. You can end up with like, you know, 5, 6 tracks typically, like I had, of audio. And then, you know, on a half-hour video, you got to go through and you got to blend all those different sounds together, all those tracks, to get a mix that sounds good. So, you know, the music isn't stepping over people talking and the effects aren't too loud. Anyway, that's mixing. To do that manually on like a half-hour video, like I was doing, it would take me. I'm experienced in terms of audio mixing and stuff, and it would still take me for that long a video. It would take the better part of a day or more just to mix it. That's beyond like just finding the music and placing it and placing the effects. Just to blend, because you gotta, when you're doing that, when you're mixing, you have to sort of adjust levels, listen. Okay, maybe bring that one down, listen again, and so you're constantly replaying and adjusting. And that's what takes up the time. DaVinci Resolve Studio Audio Assistant. Okay, I'm not exaggerating. I'm not exaggerating. So I told you it take me about a day to, you know, and a bit to mix those videos. AI Audio Assistant, I'm not lying here, took about 30 seconds. 30 seconds, not minutes, seconds. It would just go through. You designate your tracks. You tell it what's dialogue, what's music, what's sound effects. You label it, and it goes okay. And the other thing too is it can mix it and master it to a certain platform. So I'm going to YouTube. So please mix and master this for YouTube. It has other presets like for Netflix, for broadcast, and it'll go through. The AI goes through, adjusts the levels, masters it, boom. I was speechless. Now, having said that, on occasion, which is the case with AI a lot of the times, you got to go back in and, you know, tweak some things, because it doesn't know what you're looking for, right? It's kind of just doing all this to a standard that it's learned. So sometimes you got to go in and fix things. But even then, if I had to go through, call it, I don't know, including the adjustments, 10 minutes, maybe 15 total, versus a day, versus 8 to 10 hours. So that was one of the reasons why I took up DaVinci Resolve Studio for this project, was for the audio assistant, the AI, just to save that much time. But otherwise, also, again, I said, as I mentioned earlier, I'm just more familiar with the proper video tracks and audio tracks, because just my training over the years. So that's the advantage for me why I like DaVinci Resolve Studio. Along the same lines as like it's very similar to Premiere and Avid as well. But yeah. So right now, as it stands, I use iMovie for a lot of stuff first, and then if it's really complex and I got a lot of effects work to do and a lot of audio, I got to be honest, I step towards Resolve first before Final Cut Pro now. But that comes with some issues, and I don't want to give it away because it's going to be in the video tomorrow. But anyway, that's my story. Someone's asking tech gear question. Ooh, I just lost focus there for a second. How is Mac Mini M4 for 4K editing? Oh, it's fine. Oh, M4 is fine. Hey, I'm using M1 in editing 4K just fine in Final Cut Pro, even in iMovie. So yeah, 4K it's fine. The M4 is really good for 4K. Now, depends on how many tracks. Like if you're in Final Cut Pro and you've got like 4 or 5, 6 tracks of 4K, you know, the M4, the base M4 might start to, you know, huff and puff a little bit. You know, you may if you're going to do something like that, you may want to be looking at the M4, which I guess it's the Pro in the Mac Mini. But if you're like doing 2 tracks of 4K, M4 should be fine. Ross, wow, sounds like DaVinci Resolve is very robust. Heard mixed reviews on audio. Okay. Robust. Interesting word. Resolve is feature rich by far, but robust on the Mac, not as robust as Final Cut Pro. I just say right now, it's not as solid. It's not as stable, at least in my experience on the Mac, as Final Cut Pro is, because you would expect Final Cut Pro to be stable because Apple makes it, right? Yeah, the mixed reviews on the audio, it saved me a ton of time. Like I said, I had to go in and revise some things, but the head start, and you really, for me, a lot of these AI tools, that's really the best they can do for me, is like they give you a head start on stuff, but you inevitably have to go in and, I mean, if you care, you inevitably have to go in and fix things to adjust them. Don't laugh. I'm new at video editing. Have you heard of photo vibrance? And if so, what are your views? I have not heard of photo vibrance. Is that an editor, or is that just for stills? I've never heard of it. It's like somebody asked me, I think in the comments, about LumaFusion, which is, it's an app that people use for editing. I have no experience with it. I've heard of it, but I think it's primarily iPad. I'm not sure. Anyway, I haven't used it, so yeah. What do we got here? Oh, Ross, back to Ross. That AI audio sounds amazing. I've used AI mixing leveling tools, not happy with. Yeah, this one is pretty. It's pretty. You know what's interesting about the AI audio assistant is, and this is something also with these AI tools that I find, is learning what they do. Like, for example, when I said master this audio mix for YouTube, I would go back after it did it and look at the settings and go, oh, that's interesting. Oh, I didn't realize that YouTube likes, its audio to peak at -3, which is interesting, versus like Netflix, which is like -12 or something like that. Anyway, it was just interesting to go in and see all the settings that the AI was doing. And it helped me learn more about audio mixing and mastering. So, but yeah, you always gotta fix stuff. You always gotta fix stuff with AI. Never tried. Yeah. Now it's in the studio paid version. That's where all the AI toys are. The free version doesn't have any of that stuff, unfortunately. Though the free version is still pretty capable in terms of just straight editing and effects and stuff like that. Jason Whitlark, glad to see you back. Glad to be back, Jason. Glad to be back talking about tech. Well, not just tech, talking about making video on a Mac. I'm not terribly experienced, but I like DaVinci Resolve over Premiere, but I think you have to be ready to put in the learning. It's interesting. I have to say, I know Premiere. I've used Premiere for years. I used Premiere back in the day when it had a horse on the cover of the of the DVD-ROM, when it was just Premiere. It wasn't Premiere Pro. And I've used it for years. Like that was probably my first editor, because that was the only editor available sort of for, consumer level. But the Premiere Pro today, oh my goodness. I look at that interface and I'm just like, whoa, there's a lot of stuff there. And DaVinci Resolve can look like that, but when you kind of get to know it and break it down, it's actually very simple. And the fact that you can turn things off, much like Final Cut Pro in the interface. So if you don't need certain tools, you can just click them and they go away. So you can make your interface very clean. And then when you need to use something, I need the inspector, you can click the button, boop, it comes up, and you can use it and you can put it away again. And I found that actually the Resolve interface was very intuitive after a while. Where Premiere, it's just everything is at you. It's just like, it's just gotten, it's just, because Premiere is an older application, more mature. There's been so many updates. And so it just seems like they, rather than redesign the interface, they decide, let's just keep slapping it in there. Just keep slapping in the features until we run out of room. It just seems, I don't know, that seems what's going on. Hey, hi, amazing timing. I'm literally watching your DaVinci Resolve review from a year ago and saw your live. Yes. The moment I clicked and joined your live stream, you said DaVinci Resolve. Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, that one I did. Yeah, I was moving from iMovie to DaVinci Resolve, which is still a big leap. It's a big leap. But again, it's like anything. Once you get to know it, it just makes sense. And that's what I found with Resolve. At first with Resolve, I was intimidated. It was like, well, I'm not that intimidated. I'm an experienced editor. I've used editor, but I've used editing for years. But at first it was like, okay, this is a lot. But then I started to realize, wait, I can turn stuff off. Oh, and then the moment you know something is well designed is when it can keep up with how you're thinking, your flow. So important, flow in editing. Editing is all flow, right? It's getting into the flow. And as soon as you think, okay, I need to adjust the keyframes for this animation. Click, oh, there are the keyframes right under the timeline where they should be so I can see them, right? Everything started to show up where I needed it to show up. And that's when you know, okay, this is designed by people who know editors. And I found that with Resolve. Even Fusion. Now, everyone, I don't know if you know Fusion. It's their effects program. And it can be scary because it's very different in terms of an effects program. So if you're familiar with After Effects, for example, from Adobe, their effects animation, it's a layer-based application, much the same way that Apple Motion, their effects and motion graphics application is. Resolve Fusion is node-based, which like people go, what? So you don't have layers. You have little nodes, and they're on like this graph. And at first it's like, what in the, I have no idea how this works. And it's very intimidating. But then once you start to figure it out and learn, it's like, wait a second. This actually makes more sense than doing it by layers. I actually have more control than layers. So it's like, it's like anything. Once you sort of get an idea of it and start to use it, which is important, it becomes easier to use. And the one thing with the Resolve, and I tell people who are learning it to give them advice, it's like any editor, but with Resolve in particular, people see all the features and all the effects and they go, oh, I need to learn. I need to read the manual from cover to cover to learn how to use the software. And I say, just go in and just start doing stuff. And don't worry about being efficient and all that stuff. Just go start making edits. And then as you start doing that, you'll start to look around and see, well, how can I do this better? Oh, what's this button? Oh, how can I? And that's how you learn the software. So many people want to start, particularly with Resolve, they want to start knowing everything because they want to be good and efficient, and I get it. But that's not how it works. You don't read the cover and then start editing. You read enough to know to get started, and you start editing. And then you start sort of iterating on your skills, becoming more efficient. You start using the keyboard shortcuts. You start So anyway, I don't know where I was going with that. But Resolve, yes. It's good. Again, in tomorrow's video, I talk about this stuff. But again, I don't want to give it away, but it's not perfect. I'll just say that. It's not perfect. Thanks for the tips. You are welcome. Oh, photo vibrance for stills. Yeah, I don't really do. For stills, I don't use that. For stills, I actually use Pixelmator Pro, which is an application that not recently, but I guess last year, Apple bought them. And so that's what I use for my still work, like for my Photoshop type work. I don't use Photoshop anymore. I use Pixelmator Pro. And it's great. It's great. And it actually does a video too, which is kind of crazy. Maybe I'll do a video about Pixelmator Pro in video. I feel like Blackmagic is killing it lately, though. They were at a Maker event recently and seem to be really putting in the work. They're the updates every time. It's like I opened up the application. It's like, oh, new version. Oh, what do they have in store for me this time? The last one, I think it was 20.0.2, I think. They came out with, I was expecting, stability fixes and stuff. They came out with, I forget what it's called, but it's basically AI, I'll call it silence remover. Basically, you can put your clip in there, and the AI, again, this is a Resolve Studio feature, the AI will go through your audio and find spaces and pauses and give you the choice, hey, you want me to get rid of these? And push a button, boop, they're gone. Remember the days you go through manually cutting out the pauses in your YouTube videos? Not anymore. Not with DaVinci Resolve Studio. It takes it out automatically. And they just and by the way, it's like stability fixes. Oh, and by the way, here's a new AI feature maybe you could find useful. It's like, wow. So yeah, they are killing it. They are killing it. They've really embraced the AI. And again, that's when I go back to Apple and Final Cut Pro, and I'm like, you guys, I don't understand why they're so behind on the AI stuff. I don't get it. And DaVinci Resolve is like just doing laps around them right now. And it's sad to see. It's sad to see. I still, I'm not giving up on Final Cut Pro, it's just another tool in the toolbox. And there's some things that I like about it that DaVinci Resolve doesn't do. But I just don't know what's going on over there. I just don't know what's going on. I just got their A10 Mini ISO, which was just what I was looking for getting multiple streams recorded quickly. Yeah. If you've got multiple if you're doing like multicam productions, the A10, basically for folks who don't know what that is, the A10 Mini, it's like a little switcher where you can plug in different cameras and you can switch between them like they do in TV. And the particular version that Jason mentioned with ISO, it can actually record the separate cameras too. So a lot of times if you're doing a live like this, for example, if I was doing a lot of switching between sources, I may not hit the source right, or I make an error or something like that in the live stream. But if I have ISO recording, I can go back later and I have clean recordings of all the different elements, like me on camera and my mic and stuff. I can go back and edit to fix that stuff. Or I can edit a small, shorter version, that kind of thing. So that's what ISO recording, the advantage of that, of ISO recording. I'm a programmer, so I like the node part. It's a more powerful model. Yeah, exactly, nodes. I know. It's kind of scary when we look at it first. It's like, flowcharts. Oh no, it's high school computer science. But no, once you figure it out, it's very flexible. And the great thing about nodes is if you have to pass your project on to someone else, it's much easier to figure out what people have done in a node layout than it is from a layer-based thing, because you got to go into the layers and open them up and see. So, and that's another advantage of the node architecture in Fusion. If you're thinking about buying Studio, it's only $100 more for the Speed Editor plus Studio. Oh yeah, the Speed Editor is basically a keyboard specially designed for Resolve Edit. It just has the buttons that you need, and it's got like a jog shuttle knob and stuff. Just makes it a little easier. Michael, thank you so much for what you do for this community. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for being part of the community. Your tutorials are the best. You explain things so well and at a slow pace. Please keep them coming. Yep. Got more coming. Yeah. Yeah, more coming. More tutorials coming. In terms of, just speaking about tutorials in terms of iMovie, actually, let me talk about a tutorial that's coming up that you guys are going to love. You're absolutely going to love. And it has to do actually with Keynote, Apple Keynote. So to give you a little background, this project I was working on for the last few months, I was trying all kinds of different ways, because that's just who I am, to figure out how to make the video. And at one point, I was thinking about, how could you make a documentary style video that you did like live? Well, we called it live to tape back then, but I guess live to drive. So you would have all your elements set up in something like what I'm using, which is Ecamm Live or OBS Studio. And you would just go and just bring in things as you're telling the story, and, the prompter, and you'd read and stuff. I thought, that'd be an interesting way to do that. So I did a storyboard in Keynote for the whole documentary. And so it had images. But then I thought to myself, wait a second, Keynote, you can put video in Keynote. You can put audio in Keynote. You can even do camera video in Keynote. So wait a second, can I do this whole thing in Keynote? Could I make a whole documentary with on-camera narration, stills, video, music, and sound effects triggering automatically in Keynote? Ladies and gentlemen, yes, you can. And so I did it, and I was amazed. And I'm talking like a 4K video out of Keynote, complete with on-camera me talking, still images with animations as well, because you can do that in Keynote and things like Magic Move, plus embedded videos, plus music track, and plus sound effects, multiple sound effects at the same time with the music. So multi-track audio, basically, in Apple Keynote. Yes, you can. And so I've got a tutorial coming up. It basically shows you how I did it. It's kind of like a bit of a show and tell, rather than just like a tutorial. But you'll get how it worked from the show and tell. Anyway, I got that coming up in the next week or so, just to give you a little bit of a little preview. What is the latest version of iMovie? Let me check. What is the latest version of iMovie? 10.4.3. That's the latest version of iMovie. They haven't had an update in a while. I'm sure they're probably coming out with something because of the new iPhone 17. That's usually their upgrade schedule. New iPhone, new video codecs, new features. Let's upgrade. They've already upgraded or updated Final Cut Pro, and I'm sure iMovie is going to be happening soon as well. Boo. Yes, Michael's right. You're a great teacher. Very professional. Oh, thank you. Professional. Wow, thanks. I just share what excites me, and being a lifelong learner, I've made this speech before. You've heard this speech before. I get frustrated when I can't understand, or when things aren't explained a certain way. And I know the frustration when you're trying to figure out how to do something, especially when it comes to tech. And the sources and the resources just aren't, they're not resonating. It's hard to figure out. So I understand that pain, and I sort of bring that understanding to when I, share my tutorials and stuff with you. Actually, speaking of that, have you guys heard of this feature? Because this came up again, I've been away for a while, and I go back to my dashboard in YouTube Studio, and I'm like, oh, what's this? And what is it called? I thought I had oh, here it is. Let me just bring it up. Because this is a way to make some extra money now on YouTube. So it's called, YouTube has a player for education. I don't know if everybody's heard of this. Again, I came back, opened up my studio, and I saw this notification saying, hey, do you want to be part of Player for Education? Would you like to make money off of Player for Education? I'm like, make money? What? So basically, YouTube has had this player that's for educational institutions. I guess they opt in or something for it. I don't know how it works. But it basically plays content, YouTube content, without ads. And so I guess it's educational content. And I guess because of, I kind of do educational content, I guess, they said, hey, or maybe they figured out or tracked and said, hey, this is probably what happened. They probably went, hey, they're playing your videos in this player for education all over the place. And so if you want to get in on this fun, opt in here. So they have a player for education. So I guess if you're making educational content, this is another revenue stream. I didn't even know about it until it came up. Anyway, so I, of course, opted into it. But it's kind of cool. So it's a special player that goes, educational institutions can use, and it plays content without ads. So that was kind of fun to see. That was a bit of a nice surprise. I was like, oh, okay. I mean, it's great. I'm glad they're, all the power to them if they're using my stuff to teach video production in iMovie. Awesome. And if I can get in on a little bit of that action, yeah, I'm down for that. Let's see. Deb. Looking forward to your keynote video. I've done a few basic things with it, but would love to do more. Oh, Keynote just continues to to amaze me. The thing is, I don't think the developers at Apple sit down and say, okay, let's put in some features that will allow people to make full videos in Keynote, including multiple tracks of audio and camera video. I don't think they sit around and do that, but they make features, and then, crazy people like me come along and say, hey, I wonder if we could use that to do this. And I'm always amazed, like, oh, wow, you can. And I always think to myself, is this going to break something? Because I don't think they had this use in mind at Apple when they developed Keynote. But Keynote is, in some instances, more powerful than iMovie, believe it or not, for video. In some instances. And one particular instance is the multiple formats that you can export out of Keynote, and the fact that you can export video with transparent background, with transparent backgrounds out of Keynote, which you can't do in iMovie. So yeah, Keynote is always surprising me. It's a very capable, I wouldn't even call it presentation software. I would call it media creation software, because it can do so much stuff. Oh, professorial. I'm professorial. Oh gosh, that makes me. I hope I'm not boring, because I remember professors from university and lectures and stuff, and what wasn't the most scintillating sessions. Country Boardwalk Studios. Thank you. I am learning so much about editing from you. I am a novice. Excellent. I actually have another, we were talking about iMovie tutorials. I do have one planned. I've been planning this one for probably 2 years. More than that, actually. Longer than that. If you've been on my channel and been following me for any amount of time, I did a video, good Lord, it must have been 2018, I think. Whew, been doing this a while. About iMovie's precision editor. So if you haven't heard of that, it's actually a feature you find in Final Cut Pro as well. It allows you, like it says, to get more precise with your edits. And after I did that video, it got such a positive response. I thought, I should do more editing type videos for iMovie, like nuts and bolts editing, not just like here's a cool feature or here's an effect, but like editing stuff. So I have a video planned where I show you how to do the 7 most common cuts or types of edits using iMovie. professional edits using iMovie. So if that's of interest to you, put a 1 in the chat if you'd be interested in that kind of tutorial where I show you how to use iMovie to make different styles of professional edits that you see in, like, films and other things. Let me know. Put a 1 in the chat if you'd be interested in that. Chiefs fan 1969 says, yep. Show me that. Ross Brand says, yep, I'm down for that. Excellent. Oh, country boy. And Deb is an absolutely 1. Absolutely. Excellent. Okay, cool. That'd be a fun one. Oh yes, the J cuts and the L cuts. Yeah, that would be part of it. Those are like two bread and butter types of edits you would make. But there's some other ones too that you can make with iMovie. That I'll put together. Just getting back here. Oh, Country Boardwalk Studios. As a former teacher, schools, classrooms use some YouTube tutorials, videos to supplement their curriculum. Yeah, I found it's funny you mentioned that because my kids, I remember, I think it was both my kids actually. One is an adult now. One of the one's in high school. But I remember my oldest years ago when I was sort of on YouTube, started on YouTube, and she came home from school and she said, Daddy, we saw you in class today. I'm like, what do you mean? So yeah, the teacher was doing a search for something and your video came up. And I said, all my friends were like, that's my dad. And they went, oh, cool. Your dad's on YouTube. So yeah, I show up in searches, sometimes in schools and people let me know. They say, oh yeah, we were doing this lesson on QuickTime Player editing and your video came up. It's like, oh, cool. Nice to see. That's being used, because if it's being used in the classroom, that means there is some value to it, I guess. Educational value. I used Keynote to add a start screen to my YouTube videos with moving images. I was very pleased with myself. And you should be very pleased with yourself. That's good. That's advanced. You guys know the countdown you see at the beginning of my live stream. I'll play it for you. Hopefully it doesn't mess up my stream, but I'll just play it for you real quick. So you see that? Okay, my audio's still coming through. So this animation here, I created in Keynote. Now the numbers is from Ecamm, as well as the music. And I think the bottom text that says stream starting soon is also from here in Ecamm. But the animation with the circles, which is actually, more or less a second in duration, I did that using Keynote. So yeah, I did that using Apple Keynote, just basic animation. Works. And the project I was working on the last few months, I did an animation. I was recreating it was kind of like a disaster that happened. So I had to do this animation to show the different vehicles and how they kind of came to collide. So I used Keynote. It was so easy. Oh, and that's another Keynote. We talk about Keynote and tutorials and stuff like that. That's another Keynote tutorial that I've been meaning to do forever, but I will do, is path animation. You can do path animation in Keynote. What does that mean? It means you can designate a path. Like say, for example, you wanted to do an animation where you had a car following a certain path. You can do that in Keynote. You can draw out the path, attach the car to it, and animate, and it will follow the path. So very powerful stuff for doing like explainer videos and things like that. But I used that technique, that feature in the projects I was working on earlier. Let's see. Agreed. You have shown us so much on how Keynote can be used for animation. Yeah, it is. I refer to it as After Effects Lite because so much of the animation I used to do in applications like Motion or After Effects, I do so fast in Keynote. And a lot of people, even pro-level Final Cut Pro editors, use Keynote to create animations, 4K animations, that they bring into their Final Cut Pro projects. So, and the quality of the output is excellent. Very nice, especially in 4K. Down we go. Whatever you want to make, learn something all the time. Yeah. Give yourself the space to learn. So much, especially here on YouTube, there's lots of great educational content. But a lot of it, is sort of pitched to you by saying, oh, don't make this mistake. I do it sometimes too, because, you're trying to get people interested in your video. But so much of it is predicated on you being terrible and at what you're doing. And so what it does is it scares people. They want to be good out of the gate with this tech stuff and this creative stuff. And that is just not how it works. It's iterative. It's making a lot of mistakes. It's trying and it doesn't work out, but you just figure out why. And that's how you learn, and that's how you make things. And I think if you haven't been, because I've been a creative person my entire life. I was in fine arts all through high school, and I went to broadcasting media school. So, having been an artist, the artist process of, like if you're making a sculpture or something like that, you don't just kind of, hey, and you start making things perfect. It's a lot of, iterative. It's like taking pieces off, putting it back, seeing how things look. It's a lot of making adjustments, looking at it, making a judgment, changing it, right? And the key thing that's so important when it comes to creative stuff is having the patience to do that iterative work, but also what it does is it helps you develop your sensibility when it comes to making these creative choices, which is what's really important. Everyone, it seems, online these days is racing for efficiency for no other reason than I don't know why. I can understand if it's saving time. If you're running a business, it's important, and those efficiencies mean money. But for a lot of people, that's not the case. And they're racing to be the most efficient, and they're cutting themselves off from the opportunity to create and learn. Because being creative and coming up with crazy ideas like, how can I make a entire documentary, multi-track audio and camera video and Keynote, which it wasn't intended to be, wasn't intended for, comes from, hey, let me try this and see if it works. Oh, that didn't work. Oh, but this works. Right? And giving yourself the space to do that. And a lot of people are just I need to be right out of the gate. I need to be the best. I need to be efficient. And a lot of developers of these tools, these creative tools, that they know that. They know that you want to be the best and the most efficient. And that's what they put in their marketing. This thing can do it all for you. And no, you have to be able to make sensible decisions. And that comes from learning and trial and error. That's just the way it is. So give yourself the space to do that. That's the thing people don't. And when they run into a roadblock, they're like, "Oh, that's it. I can't do this. I can't. I'm dumb. I don't." It's no. Just it didn't work out that time. Just try this. And I find that a lot now in the tech space, creative tech space. A lot of people have that anxiety about being the most efficient. I'd rather be the most effective, personally. Now you have given me some ideas for using Keynote. Yes. I love Keynote. And what was really powerful in this last project I was working on is I was running it because these were long sort of documentary projects. I was struggling with in terms of the visual storytelling piece. Like the writing of the script wasn't an issue. It was the visual storytelling piece. Like, well, what do I show? Right. And I found that started using Keynote as a storyboard tool. So I take pieces of the script, plop it on slides in the slide notes, and then I would go, okay, what would work visually for this? And I started breaking down my entire script that way. And I would just use Keynote and I would plop in the images. And then what ended up happening is I started to get more sort of more elaborate with the images. And I started putting in videos. And then I started putting in audio. I was like, wait a second, I'm making a video here. And that's how I sort of came up on the idea of doing the whole thing in Keynote. It was very fun. I love Keynote. Keynote is a good one, but I only use it only 50%. Yeah, sure. It's using the tool for what it's good for, what it's really good for. And I found that, Keynote is kind of like the Swiss Army knife of media now. Sometimes I just use QuickTime Player. For example, and I did a whole tutorial on editing with QuickTime Player. Because sometimes you have a few clips you want to stick together. You don't want to I don't need a whole project in iMovie for this. I just want to take these three, particularly if you're doing live streams, say, and you decide, well, okay, I want to take the recording of this live stream. I want to take off the countdown at the beginning, or maybe cut some stuff out and stick it together. But I don't want to be having to take it to an editing timeline. I just want to assemble these clips together. And you can do that in QuickTime Player without any loss of quality. You don't even have to re-render it. Just go in and anyway, I have a whole tutorial on that. But I don't know what the point of that was, but I'm losing track. But anyway, we talk about using tools for what they're good for. And if that's all you need to do is assemble some clips, QuickTime Player can do it. No problem. So it's just figuring out what tool works, and also what tool works best for you and the way that you work. Again, there's some people who for example, my daughter, who's in media school right now, she's really good, and I didn't even do this. I didn't even teach her. She's really good in After Effects. She can animate and do stuff. It's crazy. I didn't teach her. She's taught herself at 14 how to use Adobe After Effects and does great stuff. I remember I caught her one day. She was working on something, and it was a video. And I'm like, is that a video? She goes, yeah. I said, are you editing a video in After Effects? Which is, in my mind, is used for doing special effects and stuff. She goes, yeah. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'd never, and I thought, you can use Premiere to edit that. She's like, I do. I'm faster in After Effects. It's like, okay. I'm not, but she is. So, it's about the tool and how you work with the tool, and what tool kind of resonates with you and how you work. And for her, she likes editing in After Effects. I mean, efficiency and official sort of doctrine would say that's not what that software is for. That's for, post-production and stuff. But she makes it work, and she's getting good marks. So I got nothing to say. It's working for her. It's working for her. I'm from a technical background, not arts. Your channel got me over the early obstacles. Now I'm taking several production classes. Oh, good for you. At a local college, and still looking forward to your videos. Excellent. That's great. That's great. It's funny because the reason I love this space, Jason, is because is the combination of technical and art. I started off in fine arts, like painting, drawing, sketching, sculpture, all that kind of stuff, because there was no tech back then in the 80s. Video technology wasn't accessible for the average person. But I was always interested in tech. I was always interested in video tech in particular, and audio, and really in audio. So I got the opportunity to meld them together, my fine arts background and my love of the technical stuff. And that's what I love about the space. I love I love the idea of using technology to be creative, to create things. And so that's why I love being in this space. And I really get excited about using technology that at first you may not think would be capable of creating things, and using that, like, for example, Keynote and iMovie. But yeah, that's what I love, tech and art. Tech art. But you use motion? It's workable with iMovie or not? I've used motion before. Yeah, I mean, motion is just like, it's kind of like After Effects. You can bring in clips. So you can edit something in iMovie and then export that and bring that into motion and add things to it, or you can just take a clip from iMovie and bring it into motion. So yeah, it's easy to bring content into motion and use it. Though I find motion, it just seems overcomplicated in my opinion, how they sort of work the interface and the workflow. But it's really cool. It's really good. It's got a lot of features you can do. The 3D aspect of it is really cool. But I just feel like it's a little overcomplicated in its design. Amir, oh boy, I haven't seen you in a while because I haven't been here in a while. Hey, which software are you using for streaming? I'm using Ecamm Live right now. I've used OBS, which is free, open source. Ecamm Live, what I'm using now, is paid. There's different sort of tiers, and it's a subscription, sorry. But I've used it before it was a subscription. I used it when it first came out, like version 1, way back in the day. And I've been like I guess a loyal customer of Ecamm for years, since the beginning. I think the first product I bought from them was iGlasses, which was like a filter program for your webcam. But I'm using Ecamm Live, and I like it because I don't have to think so much about things. A lot of it's built in. Like, for example, handling this chat here, bringing up chat on the screen, is very simple. You can do it in OBS, but it requires like a plug-in, and it's a little more complicated. But for me, Ecamm is just, it's very bespoke. I mean, it's very much built for live streaming in terms of the feature set and how the feature set is laid out. And it's Mac only, and so it's optimized for the Mac. And it's got a great community. It's constantly being updated. And I think, honestly, I don't mind so much paying for the subscription as I would for other products, because you get more than just the software with Ecamm. You get the community, you get great support, and which I think is worth it. Which I think is worth it. But it's anyway. You can be very creative too with Ecamm. It's kind of a little bit like. It's like if Photoshop was a live stream software. It's kind of like that. It's kind of like if Photoshop, you could live stream with Photoshop, in terms of sort of how it's laid out, in terms of creating scenes and things like that. But yeah, that's what I use. Pretty happy with it. Yeah, StreamYard. I used StreamYard way back. And Ross, Ross is still here. Ross Brand is a StreamYard guy. I think he's still. Are you still a StreamYard guy, Ross? Let me know. But Ross used StreamYard forever, and I used it a bit at the beginning when it sort of first came out. But I switched over to Ecamm. Actually, the first one I used, and Ross could probably speak to this as well, was Wirecast. If anybody heard of that, that's the live streaming. It's still around. It's a live streaming software made by Telestream, who makes ScreenFlow. In fact, I used Wirecast before I used ScreenFlow. So yeah, Wirecast, and I was using StreamYard at the beginning too. For me, I mean, it's a lot of people I know use StreamYard and they're happy with it. I know they changed their pricing model lately, and a lot of people weren't happy with that. I personally just didn't like the idea of, just me, sharing a server with a whole bunch of other streams. because that's basically, it's cloud streaming, right? So you're sending your, and it's browser based. So you're basically sharing a server that's serving out your streams, which works great most of the time. But I found, maybe they've changed it, but I found that there was sometimes a quality issue, a little minor quality issue with StreamYard when I used it. Ecamm, OBS, like Ecamm, you're streaming from your machine. So I'm streaming from my Mac straight to YouTube right now. I'm not going through a server. Other than going into the YouTube server, but I'm not, where browser-based streaming, you're going through, well, not all the time, but StreamYard, you are going through a server. You can do browser-based direct streaming too, but that's not StreamYard, I don't think, anymore, or if it ever was that. But it's a good service for people who just want to live stream really quickly and don't want to get involved in all the technical stuff, and they just want to, I just want to go live and show my slides or give my talk or do my webinar or stuff like that. It's great for that. It's great for that. Let me see. I prefer simple tools. There's Ross. Your video quality is so high watching on TV. Yeah, I'm actually, for the first time, ladies and gentlemen, I'm streaming in not 4K. I'm not that crazy yet. I know some people are. You can stream in 4K in Ecamm. And I do have the upload speed with my internet provider to do that. But I haven't done, maybe I'll do that the next time. But I'm kind of like, I don't know. But Ross is watching on TV, so that's an advantage for folks who are watching the stream on TV. I'm actually streaming in 1440p, which is slightly higher than 1080. Not quite as high as 4K. But maybe I'll try 4K and see what happens. See what happens if things start smoking, and no, it's fine. 4K is not that much of a lift. If you're just doing something like this, if you're playing games, with high motion stuff happening, then 4K can be a little more challenging. You need a little more horsepower for that kind of thing, but that's not what I'm doing here. Not here. Do you have a tool to build overlay on OBS? Yes, you can. Well, not the same way as you can in Ecamm. In OBS, you're kind of going to be making your overlays elsewhere. Like when I do stuff in Ecamm, in OBS, I build my overlays in Keynote. Remarkably, again, that's great for graphics too. I actually do just to let you know, all my YouTube thumbnails are done in Keynote as well. But for building overlays in OBS, I use Keynote, and then you just bring it in as an image source. OBS does have some tools, like some basic like shapes and things like that, to build overlays, and has text too. But Ecamm has more, a bigger set of tools for actually building overlays. That's why I said it was kind of like Photoshop. If Photoshop was a live streaming application, it'd be Ecamm. Because you can overlay things, you can do layers, you can do text, you can do shapes, you can do all kinds of stuff in Ecamm. And a lot of people just build, like you see some of these Ecamm shows with, have guests to do interviews, and they have like these, overlays that are very sort of very graphical, and they all do it in Ecamm itself. You can do it in Keynote or wherever and bring it in, but a lot of it's done right in Keynote. In Ecamm, I should say. Oh, thank you, Mir. I shall try to keep up the good work. Ross says, I still use StreamYard as my primary. Ecamm is great too. Yeah. Because Ross, you're doing a lot of interview stuff. Like you interviewing a lot of people, and StreamYard's so easy for that. Ecamm is easier now than it used to be. It's the same kind of thing where you send out a link to somebody and they come in. But yeah, StreamYard's simpler for doing that kind of stuff. And for StreamYard, you can bring in multiple people. You can do that too in Ecamm, but StreamYard's easier to bring in a whole bunch of people and do like a round table talk or something like that. Ecamm really make your show look unique. Yeah, like I said, you can get creative with it, or you can be basic. I'm very this is very basic. Very basic. Here's my extent of my Ecamm artistry. We've got me here, and then I've got a picture-in-picture. Whew, excitement. Excitement. Oh boy, here's one for you. Split screen. Whew. Yeah, that's about as good. That's about as intricate as I get with Ecamm. Of course, I have to sit down and make stuff, but I like to keep things simple too. I don't want the graphics to overshadow, the content and stuff like that. That's just me. That's just me. Yeah, I am in 2K, I guess you would call it. 1440p. I guess is that considered 2K? I guess. I don't know. It's not 4K. It's the next one up from 1080. So it's got a little more resolution. With Keynote, with Keynote, OMG, yeah, I don't know what I'm lost track in the feed here, but yes, you can do a lot with Keynote. Yeah, I do. Well, if you're referring to YouTube thumbnails, yeah, I do that with Keynote. I do everything with Keynote. Anything graphical, that's where I go first. And if I can't do it in Keynote, then I'll jump into Pixelmator Pro, which has more advanced tools for doing things. iPhone 17 versus iPhone 16 Pro. Oops. For data transfer, as we shoot a lot of videos, it needs to be transferred to SSD for editing. Yeah. Well, if you're doing it, I think if you're shooting in ProRes, I think you need to have the SSD, because that ProRes is great codec, but file sizes, yikes, they're pretty big. Where if you're doing sort of the native HEVC, which is H.265, the file sizes, I mean, it's more compressed, but the file sizes aren't as high as ProRes. But if you're gonna do like, if you're doing like really color sensitive stuff or higher end stuff, you're gonna be shooting in recording in ProRes and bringing that. So then you'd have to use an SD to transfer. Keynote for thumbnails? Everyone's like, what? Oh yeah, I've been using Keynote for thumbnails for years. For years, you can actually remove the background in photos with Keynote. It has that feature. It doesn't always work the best. I mean, it depends on the photo. If I'm on like a plain background, like this one's kind of busy, but if I was on a plain background, I could separate myself or remove the background in Keynote. I wouldn't have to go to any other program and do the outline around me and do the other all the text, everything I do it in all Keynote. And I have like a template I got a template file that I just swap stuff in and out. And I've got like all the slides of all the different thumbnails I've done. And I just copy paste different elements, and it's really easy and fast. Yeah, so I use Keynote. Maybe I should do something on that. Put a 1 in the chat if you want to see how to do YouTube thumbnails in Keynote. Let me know. Always looking for ideas for content. I have lots of homework to do after this live chat. Yes, you have lots of homework to do. I've done a lot of the homework for you. I just need to share it. Just need to share it. Sarita, what video camera are you using? Right now, in my studio, I am using, this is a Sony Alpha 6100. So this is kind of an older camera. I mean, 6100 came out in, I think, 2019, 2018. So it's a few years old, but does the trick, does 4K. So I'm now capturing myself. This is the first actually stream that I've basically transitioned finally to 4K production. I'm doing it with my videos, and I'm doing it with my, sort of with my streams. So my camera, the Alpha 6100 can do 4K and 1080p, of course. So I'm capturing 4K into the camera, but I'm streaming 1440. I could stream 4K, but and I have the bandwidth to do it, but we'll see how it goes. But that's the camera I'm using. It's I've been using it for years. It's a great little camera. It's simple to use. The quality is great. I've got a lens on here. It's the Sony. Yeah, it's the Sony lens. It's a 20 millimeter lens, if you know anything about lenses, and it's 2.8 aperture. So it's good. Get a little bit of a blurry background. Not like if you had like a 1.8 where it would be really blurry. I don't need that. It's fine. But it's a good little lens. It's small because I have a prompter on top of it. So I don't want too much weight. But yeah, that's the camera I'm using. Lots of ones for, I guess that's for the keynote thumbnails. Awesome. Someone just said, I just bought Pixelmator Pro and love it. Yes, it's great. It's great to see you again. Hey, Brian's Mall Trains. Good to see you back. Yeah, Pixelmator Pro is great. Had it for years before Apple bought it. Chiefs Fan 1969 says, yes. I guess that's the keynote thumbnails. Yes. Ross is like, yes. Keynote thumbnails. Yes. Jason, yes. Tim is like, yes. And Deb is yes. Anatomy and Physiology Professor. Many thanks for your vids. Very helpful. Thank you. Thank you for being here. I'm glad you find them helpful. Keynote, please. Please learn us. Yeah. Yeah, no. It's really simple. And the great thing about Keynote, because it's like presentation slides, again, I just build a template and all my thumbnails are there. And I repeat a lot of the same elements just for consistency of design. So I just swap them over. I just find it's just very easy. Sometimes I have to go to Pixelmator. Like if I'm trying to like get rid of the background and it's in Keynote's just not doing it, I'll bring image over to Pixelmator Pro, which has better tools to do that kind of thing. But Keynote has basic but usable image editing features. Like you can like adjust brightness and contrast and saturation and stuff of images. It has basic sort of masking, so you can mask out parts of images. So, and that's all I really need for most of these thumbnails, which are pretty, they're not Mr. Beast thumbnails. They're not, dramatic but get the job done, I guess. Yes for thumbnails. Yes. Yes for thumbnails. Yeah, because when it comes to YouTube thumbnails, I guess it's like any kind of brand. Consistency, I think, is important. Because I'm trying to like do a few different things with my thumbnails. Because a lot of the images I use with my thumbnails of me with my poses and stuff like that were taken a few years ago. And so, not that I look totally different from 5 years ago, but I still like to update some things. But keeping it consistent, I find, is important because you start to realize like branding is important because it's instantly recognizable by people, right? They go, oh, they see the thumbnail. Oh, it's a mic. It's a mic tutorial video. I experimented with, and I've done some thumbnails that didn't have my face on them just to see. And I did one, I think it was last year, a couple years, I can't remember. It was a iMovie tips video. It was like iMovie 10 magic things or something like that I didn't know before. And I had an image of another man on it. And he was doing like a card magic trick. Because that's why it's like magic. Hey, I get a magic trick. I thought I was being clever. And I got a comment where someone said, I almost didn't watch this video because I didn't know it was you. And then I saw it was you. It was kind of confusing. So I thought, oh, okay. You see now the magic of branding and recognition and that instant recognition that I guess when people see my face on the thumbnail, they kind of know what they're going to get, I guess. Anyway, that's the point about being consistent. So I have this file, this Keynote file with all my thumbnails. It's kind of fun to look at them too, to look through the years of all my different thumbnails. And all the different sort of design choices and adjustments that I made over that time. So yeah, but Keynote, it does the trick. It does the trick for me. It's also, like I said, it's easier to keep track of everything, because if you're doing it, I mean, obviously, if you're good with naming files and organized, having a separate file for each of your thumbnails and something like Pixelmator Pro, fine if you can keep it organized. But the beauty of the Keynote's way of doing it is they're all in that one file, and you just export that slide for your graphic. It keeps everything together for me, because I'm terrible at at organization and stuff like that. So the Keynote method, keeping everything together, works well. I mean, it's a bit of a big file, but it's not like huge. But I just find keeping everything together, all the elements together that I repeatedly use, is a great way. You know, it's done well in Keynote, where it keeps everything together. Yeah. Wow, you've really grown to almost 100K subs. Yeah, well, we're trying to get there. We're trying to get there. Honestly, listen, it would be great to have 100,000 subs. It'd be great to have the plaque that I put up on the wall, and then maybe people would listen to me about YouTube advice. I don't know. Anyway, and if I was obviously more consistent with my content and uploads, I probably would be at 100K now. But I don't sweat it. I'm just trying to enjoy what I'm doing, and enjoy bringing you this stuff and talking to you in live streams and sharing the cool stuff that I learn with you. Honestly, that's what drives me, is I learn new stuff and go, like the Keynote, documentary in a Keynote thing. It was like, wow, you can do this. I got to share this with the community. They got to know about this. That's what drives me. And if you learn something from it and it helps you, all the better. But I'm gonna be honest. I'm just selfish. I enjoy sharing, and the benefit of that is that you learn some stuff. But I don't consider myself, I'm not out here trying to be a teacher or anything like that. I'm just somebody who loves this stuff, gets excited about it, and then has to share it, because honestly, my family is tired of hearing it. So I got to share it with the internet. Anyway. Yeah, you've created a great safe space for learners. Learn something, no stress. Yeah, I hope so. I'm glad. Thank you for that, Jason. I hope I have. I try to keep this space not just safe, but just open for people to learn stuff and share stuff. And I think also what I've found with YouTube and live streaming in particular is it's not even about the content so much as the other C, company, right? People just hanging out, sharing interests is very comforting. I love it. I love doing it. I love watching streams like that. And where, we're just kind of exploring things, we're talking about things, and there's no judgment. There's no, oh, that's not the way to do it, and this way is better, and that stuff's better than this stuff. And it's like, we're all doing the same stuff. It's all the same. And there's nothing really new. It's like, it's more, it's just different ways to do the same things. But it's just interesting to talk about it. And I'm always interested to see how you folks are always advancing, how you're learning and you're getting more confident. And that for me is exciting. And to talk about this stuff, I like it. I just enjoy it. And, that's one of the things when I was away for a few months. And that's what I realized, what I missed was just hanging out, just talking about making video in iMovie and Keynote, and like, oh, that's cool. Well, that's interesting. I missed that. And so I miss that community and that sort of comfort of just hanging out, maybe learn something, sharing, and getting back to that and realizing that, as a YouTube creators, and I think anyone who's been on YouTube for a few years will know what I'm talking about. You get to this certain point when you're making your content and you're doing something. And what ends up happening is you start a certain place, and then whatever factors come into play, whether it's the algorithm, whether it's comments, whether it's whatever, you end up kind of veering away from why you started. You start veering away from the passion that brought you here in the first place. And then all of a sudden you find yourself feeling like resentful and like, why you're not enjoying it anymore. And a lot of times you just got to step away, or you have to go, wait a second, wait. Get back to the fundamentals. Why am I here? Why am I doing this? And so, that's the thing that you periodically have to do as a creator. And for me, it's like, it doesn't have to be complicated. And I think a lot of times as creators, we try to overcomplicate things because somehow we think that adds value to things. But in fact, it doesn't. It doesn't, right? Getting back to the sort of the core and the fundamentals of your why is important. And I realized for me, I just enjoy talking about this stuff. I enjoy sharing. I enjoy listening to other people talk about it. And that's why I started live streams up again, because I enjoy live streaming. Am I the best live streamer ever? No. Am I taking this on the road to Twitch? No. But I enjoy doing it, and I enjoy talking to you, and I enjoy the tech, and I enjoy all the buttons. And that's, you know what? That's enough. That's enough. And a lot of times as any kind of creator, you get the imposter syndrome and you start questioning, why am I doing this? And you have to stop and say, listen, what do you enjoy about that? Well, that's enough. That's enough. Stop trying to overthink it, which we creative people have a tendency to do. So, yeah. Safe space. Cool space. Thank you so much for this wonderful informational video live chat. Huge help to me. Good. Well, there'll be more. There'll be another one next week. Thursdays at 1. We're doing this. And I hope you don't mind this sort of looser format. Before, when I did live streams, I would roll up with a whole like presentation of of things in the lesson. And I just found that I don't think live streaming is the best format for that. I think videos are, because I can, first I can be more concise and, just give you what's important. And second, you can replay it over and over again, more so than a live stream. So I found having like content dense live streams just didn't resonate. So trying to like a looser kind of format where we just sort of discuss maybe what's happening in the space and take your questions and just, talk about stuff. Chat. Let me know in the chat if that's cool with you, this looser format. Just put a 1 in the chat. Rather than like an informational webinar, which I don't know. I don't think that resonated with a lot of people. And also you can also teach fairly effectively just through Q&A, kind of like this kind of thing. I know what you mean. I've only a tiny channel in comparison, but I love making cards and sharing how I do it. Yeah. Yeah. And the gurus of YouTube will say, well, you need to find audience and algorithm optimization, or blah, 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 Good. That's fine. That's great. Yes, there is a better path, though I have issues with YouTube advice because it's not one size fits all. It depends on what you're doing. But anyway, that's a whole other discussion. But at the end of the day, you need to find the joy in what you're doing in order to even certainly to be sustainable. You got to be a little selfish and be like, well, this is what I enjoy. Like, would I be doing this if there was no one watching? And here's the crazy answer is yes, because I do it all the time. right? When I'm making videos, no one's watching. I'm just talking to a camera. Maybe people will watch, hopefully. But yeah, because I enjoy it, right? And that has to be the foundation. I know Ross, if he's still here, I don't know if he's left, but he'll attest to that. You know, he's been live streaming and doing interviews and podcasting and live streaming for years. And I know because we talk about it, and he just loves it. He just loves doing it. And, you know, whether you have one person watching or, you know, 20 or 50 or 1,000, you have that same enjoyment because you just like doing it. You just like doing it. My video editing is so much better since I started watching you. So thank you for sharing. Yeah, good. Good. And it's interesting because, like I said, I haven't even like talked really about sort of the technique behind editing. Like, you know, I show you how to push buttons and do certain kind of things and stuff, but I don't think I haven't done like a, you know, not theory, because that's starting to get a little too deep, but just sort of the motivations behind editing and making editing decisions, right? Because the tool is just executing. You have to make the decision of where am I going to make that cut, or where am I going to put that transition, or where am I going to put that text, right? You have to make the creative decision to do that. And so what goes into making that decision? And I haven't really talked about that yet. I've talked about the execution. But if you're becoming a better editor without that, awesome. Awesome. I would love to see a course on Final Cut Pro, as I have learned what I could from you on iMovie. Yeah, you know, Final Cut Pro is not... Having used Final Cut Pro for years, iMovie, and now DaVinci Resolve Studio, not for years, but intensely for a few months, you realize they're all the same. It's all the same everything, pretty much. Sure, there's some more bells and whistles, but the method and the workflow is pretty much the same. You got a timeline, you got a media browser, you got an inspector to make adjustments for things. That's really that's really it. I mean, that's really all there is. Again, it comes down to, you know, it comes down to more the decisions you make using those things. But, you know, I'm gonna have more Final Cut Pro stuff and DaVinci Resolve stuff now that I've sort of stepped into those worlds. Well, I've been in Final Cut Pro for a while, but the DaVinci Resolve world, I want to expand more into that kind of stuff, so that I know if you're just an iMovie user, you may not be interested in it, but you may. I don't know. It might help you if you want to graduate to that, but otherwise. But I'm finding that a lot of people are making that leap, and I'm getting a lot of people who are Final Cut Pro users and Resolve users who are like messaging me and saying, "Can you please, Mike, do some Final Cut Pro and Resolve tutorials?" And I say, there's tons of great people out there doing it already, like Mr. Alex Tech, who does DaVinci Resolve tutorials, and other folks. And they say, well, they don't do it like you. And I'm like, oh, well, okay, I'll see what I can do. Thank you, but you know. So I'm more interested in that stuff, and so I'll be expanding, starting with my video coming out tomorrow, talking about DaVinci Resolve Studio. And it's not really, well, it's not a review per se. It's kind of like my experience having worked on this project and a little bit of a comparison to Final Cut Pro. A little bit. Amir, any tips on YouTube growth? I've heard YouTube promotes lives more than normal videos. You know, I'll tell you something, Amir. I don't know what YouTube is doing with lives. I hope they are, because it's terrible. Their just live discovery is just terrible right now. It's just like, it's just bad. And this is why if you want to do live streaming, and this is the advice. If you say, I just want to do live streaming, I'll say, do not do it here. If that's all you want to do, don't do it here. don't do it on YouTube. I know that's crazy, controversial advice, but you want to be doing something on Twitch or, that kind of thing, because the discovery for live on YouTube it's still bad. And how you get discovered on YouTube is through uploads and even shorts, more so. That's a discovery. So you see a lot of people who live stream on YouTube, they have a robust upload, video shorts strategy where that content is driving to the lives. As I don't know if the person is still here, I can't remember, who mentioned, let me go back and see who it was. Let me just pick it up here. Sorry, I don't mean to delay, but yeah, here it is. I'll just put this back up. Is it Psy or C? I think it's Psy. Anyway, amazing timing. I'm literally watching your DaVinci Resolve review from a year ago and saw your live. The moment I clicked and joined your live stream, you said DaVinci Resolve. So there's a perfect example, right? How they find me? The video, right? And that's the thing with YouTube. That's how it works. I hope they do better with the discovery. I can't remember. I think they made a little of an announcement, but not really. The only thing that's going to help discovery that they mentioned in that Made on YouTube showcase was being able to simultaneously stream horizontal and vertical. So the vertical is in the shorts feed, which theoretically has got more exposure. So I guess it'll will that drive to your widescreen live? I don't know, but I guess this is what they're trying to do. But they still need to come up with. I mean, it's Google, it's search. That's their thing. Why is this so difficult for live streams? I don't know. Maybe I just don't know everything, but I hope they are promoting them more. Oh, okay. The looser format. Deb says yes. And so does Country Boardwalk Studios. Oop, says yes. Love the loose format. Loose is great. I did really like your workflows live stream, though. Well, listen. That's the beauty of lives. They're very flexible. So I can do loose. I could do something. I can do a show and tell live stream, whatever. I just don't, when it comes to lives, it's one of those things where I don't like coming in with, okay, everybody sit down and today, because some people are like, I'm not for that. Like, listen, I just put you on because I needed some, something in the background while I wash the dishes or, or I'm doing something else while I'm watching you. I don't want to have to concentrate deeply and intensely on stuff. And that's what a lot of live streams are. It's like background music for a lot of people. So I don't want to come in too much with heavy content. That's why the looser format. But that doesn't mean I can't do something in the future, like more of a show, rather than like here's a lesson, or more like a show and tell. Like, hey, I made this thing. Here, let me talk about how I made it. Which, you still get some more focused sort of structure to it and value, but it's not as like, here's the lesson, everybody. So yeah, I'm not married to anything. That's the beauty of online media. I thought was that you could be flexible. If in TV you can't. It's like, okay, here, write me the treatment and give me the script and give me, you got to know exactly what you're doing before you get anywhere near a TV studio. But not online. Not online. That was the promise, the great promise. Hello, sir. All the best from Poland. Thank you. Love your channel. Thank you very much for being here from Poland. I appreciate it. Heading out there to Eastern Europe. Excellent. Thank you for being here. You have a unique way of teaching. It works for me. Well, thank you. I'm glad it does. Yeah, I just kind of, I don't know, I kind of just relate it the way that I learn it, I guess. I'm not a formally trained teacher or anything. I don't have a degree in instructional design or anything. I I learned this when I worked on a show on television years and years ago called Inquiring Minds, which was sort of a kind of like a Bill Nye the Science Guy type show, but not it for an older audience, and it wasn't as sort of over the top as that. But same concept of explaining things. And I just learned there how to explain stuff and how it was important for it to make sense to me in order for me to share it. And yeah, that's what I learned. Making it accessible. Because a lot of people who are instructors, and I found this just in my life of being a student, they think there's some currency in making things complicated, making it difficult, right? It's like, well, you need to work to learn this. It's like, well, I didn't realize this was a reality show challenge. I'm just trying to figure out how to do this thing. Why are you making it so hard? I guess, again, because I guess people think by complicating things, it gives them more value. I don't know. For me, it's like actually the opposite, especially today with so much out there. Values if you're able to like actually relay information to someone efficiently and quickly. And it's a win for them, rather than having to make them fight through jargon and other things just to figure something out. But that's just me. I wish they were all so honest as you, sir. Thank you. What do you mean? Honest about YouTube? Oh boy. No, I've been on this platform for it's getting close to 10 years. I started in 2017. And when I started on YouTube in 2017, boy, oh boy, was it ever so different. It was so, I mean, it had its issues, but it just seemed very quaint compared to now. It was less strategic. It was more about, again, finding, sharing your passion with an audience that found value in it. It wasn't so, tactical back then. And now it's, I try to follow the YouTube, doctrine, the proper advice and all that stuff. And again, I just found myself drifting away from why I was here. So I finally just said, you know what? I'm just going to do what I enjoy doing. I'll optimize as best I can, but I don't want to compromise the passion that brought me here in the first place. And if that means, oh boy, you're not going to crack 100,000 views and this, it's like, whatever. Whatever, I don't care. Vanity metrics, don't care. I'm more about making this sustainable and enjoying myself while doing it. And at the same time, bringing you value. So that's my honest assessment. And honestly, I'll be honest, a little redundant. I see some people who've moved into the YouTube advice space, and they've done really well because people all want to know how to do better on YouTube. I want to know how to do better on YouTube, but I find that a lot of the advice, unfortunately, is useless. And I'll tell you why. Not all of it's useless, and I'll tell you why. I know this is kind of a dramatic statement, but so much of it is kind of like one size fits all, and it's not. If the difference between a true crime podcast channel and an iMovie tutorial channel it's a vast distance, and the tactics and strategies that work for one not going to work for the other one. But yet a lot of people come out here and give you the same advice no matter what channel or type of content you're making. And that's just ridiculous. And you get these poor people trying to circle into a square peg with the advice and their content. And it just doesn't work that way. So I think all YouTube advice should come with a caveat, your results may vary or depending on what you're doing. And I think that's just the problem. I just don't like that. And I think you're getting people basically chasing things around that aren't going to work for what they're doing. right? YouTube advice is important. You know, this platform, hey, we're on this platform. This is the world we live in. We can't ignore it. We can't ignore the algorithm. We can't ignore metrics. We can't ignore that stuff. That's part of the framework and the underpinning of this whole thing. It allows me to come to you, right? And you to go, oh yes, this is something that I'm actually interested in. How clever of YouTube to figure that out. It's all that stuff. I'm down with that totally. But you have to also consider other things, right? You got to consider what it is you're making. It's not one size fits all. And I think a lot of YouTube advice is that. And that's what really bothers me about a lot of YouTube advice. Some advice is great and very useful up to a certain point. But then it's kind of like, well, you got to figure out what works for you and your community and your audience. And that's the great thing about YouTube is because the people will tell you and they have no reservation. If you're listening, you'll figure it out. But anyway, I guess someone had to say it. Someone had to say it. And I will go out there and suffer the slings and arrows of whatever. I need to go eat. Yes, eat. But I'll see you soon, I hope. Yes, I'll be back next week. Actually, as I look at the time, how much am I? Oh my goodness, it's after 3 o'clock. I've been talking for that long, nonstop. I should probably wrap things up. It's probably getting late in some spots, and people probably have other things to do. But anyway, yeah, this was a good chat. I enjoyed this sort of loose format. Next week, hey, you know what? If you want, just leave a comment in this chat. The recording will be available for anybody who misses stuff. But put a comment in the recording and let me know what kind of stuff you want me to talk about. You know, I'm trying to kind of guess things, and I'm looking at, you know, what's going on in the space, but you know, you may not be interested in that. But let me know in the comments of this replay what kind of topics you're interested in knowing about. I know, you know, I don't know everything, but I know a lot about video production and using Mac tools to do it. So let me know in the comments. So I'm gonna go then. I think I've said enough for all of you. But thank you so much for being here and staying up if it's late where you are. Thanks for being here. Thanks for your questions, and thank you for the warm welcome back. I really appreciate it. It's great to be back, and it's great to be back talking to you. And I'm going to continue as best I can to keep bringing you content that you'll find useful or interesting. At the very least, I'll find it interesting. I'll find it interesting. Christopher, you are awesome. Would love to learn more about how to do vertical and landscape with same video to upload to different platforms. Oh, well, I got a couple videos on that, Christopher. You can check the channel. Repurposing. But I can do a whole thing. We can talk about repurposing and ideas around that. Certainly. All right. Yes, Jason, have a great evening. And everyone else, thank you so much again for being here. And keep an eye on the community section of my channel for any announcements for upcoming live streams or any other interesting information that I might be sharing. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.